She thought the worst thing about her wedding day would be the rain. She was wrong. The worst thing was finding her fiancé in bed with her sister, 3 hours before she was supposed to say I do. The perfect life shattered. Olivia Hart had always been the golden child. At 28, she had it all: a corner office at Manhattan's most prestigious marketing firm, a penthouse with a view of Central Park, and a fiancé who looked like he walked off the cover of GQ. Ethan Cross was everything she'd ever wanted: charming, ambitious, and madly in love with her. Or so she thought. The wedding was supposed to be the event of the season. 300 guests, a cathedral venue, a Vera Wang gown that cost more than most people's cars. Olivia had planned every detail for a year, pouring her heart into creating the perfect day. But perfection is fragile. Welcome to Rose and Retribution. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It was 11:47 a.m. when Olivia realized she'd left her grandmother's vintage pearl earrings, her something borrowed, at Ethan's apartment. The ceremony was at 3 p.m. She had time. She'd slip in, grab them, and be back before anyone noticed. She used her key to enter the luxury high-rise. The doorman waved her through with a smile. Everything seemed normal. The elevator ride to the 24th floor felt longer than usual, her heart fluttering with pre-wedding jitters. When she opened the door to Ethan's apartment, she heard it immediately. Laughter. Female laughter, coming from the bedroom. Olivia's blood turned to ice. Her hands trembled as she walked down the hallway, each step feeling like wading through quicksand. Maybe it was the TV. Maybe it was his sister visiting. Maybe it was anything but what her gut was screaming at her. She pushed open the bedroom door. Time stopped. The moment everything died. Ethan was in bed. But he wasn't alone. Wrapped around him, wearing nothing but his shirt, was her sister, Rachel. Rachel, who'd been her maid of honor. Rachel, who'd helped her pick out flowers and cake flavors. Rachel, who'd hugged her last night and said, "Tomorrow, you're going to be the most beautiful bride in the world." For 3 seconds, nobody moved. Olivia stood frozen in the doorway, her brain refusing to process what her eyes were seeing. Ethan's face went white. Rachel's went red. "Liv," Ethan started, scrambling out of bed, grabbing for his pants. "Oh my God, Olivia!" Rachel's voice was shrill, panicked. But Olivia didn't hear them. There was a ringing in her ears, a high-pitched tone that drowned out everything else. Her chest felt like it was caving in, her lungs forgetting how to pull air. How long? The words scraped out of her throat, raw and broken. Ethan couldn't meet her eyes. That told her everything. How long? Rachel pulled the sheet around herself, tears streaming down her face. 6 months. 6 months. 6 months of lies. 6 months of stolen moments. 6 months of planning a wedding while her fiancé was sleeping with her sister. Every "I love you" had been a knife she didn't know was being twisted into her back. Olivia felt something inside her crack, not break. That would come later. This was the first fracture, the moment the foundation of her life began to crumble. The confrontation. "Why?" Olivia whispered, looking at Rachel. "Why would you do this to me?" Rachel's tears fell harder. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It just did. I'm sorry, Liv. I'm so sorry." "Sorry?" Olivia's voice rose, something dark and volcanic building inside her. "You're sorry? I have 300 people showing up to a cathedral in 3 hours. I have a life with him." "We were supposed to." Her voice broke. "We were supposed to build a life together." Ethan finally found his voice. "Olivia, please, let me explain." "Explain what?" She laughed, a hollow, bitter sound. Explain how you've been screwing my sister for half a year? Explain how you proposed to me while you were sleeping with her? Please, Ethan, enlighten me. He stepped toward her. I do love you, I swear I do. It's just, Rachel and I, we have this connection. Get out. Live. Get out. Olivia screamed so loud her throat burned. Both of you, get the hell away from me. Ethan grabbed his shirt, his face a mask of misery. Rachel was sobbing, trying to speak, but Olivia couldn't hear it anymore. She couldn't breathe in the same room as them. She turned and ran. The breakdown. Olivia didn't remember getting to her car. She didn't remember driving. She only remembered pulling over on a side street, her hands shaking so violently she couldn't hold the steering wheel. And then she broke. She screamed until her voice gave out. She punched the dashboard until her knuckles bled. She sobbed until there was nothing left inside her but a hollow, aching void. Her phone buzzed. Texts poured in. Mom, where are you? The photographer is asking for you. Bridesmaids group chat, OMG 2 hours. Are you nervous? Ethan, please, we need to talk. I'm begging you. Olivia stared at the screen. Her perfect life was still out there, waiting for her to walk down the aisle and seal her fate to a man who'd betrayed her in the worst possible way. She could cancel. She could tell everyone. She could burn it all down. Or a dark thought crept into her mind. Cold, calculated. Ethan had humiliated her. Rachel had betrayed her. But they didn't know she knew. She still had 3 hours. Olivia wiped her face. She checked her reflection in the rearview mirror. Her eyes were red, swollen. But beneath the pain, something else flickered. Rage. She started the car. The decision. By the time Olivia pulled up to the cathedral, she'd made her choice. She wasn't going to cancel the wedding. She wasn't going to run away crying. She was going to make them pay. She walked into the bridal suite with a smile on her face. Her bridesmaids swarmed her, exclaiming over her dress, fixing her makeup, gushing about how perfect everything was. Rachel was there. She looked terrified, her eyes darting to Olivia every few seconds. Olivia walked over and hugged her. Thank you for being here, Olivia whispered in her ear. Her voice steady. You're the best sister I could ever ask for. Rachel's face crumpled, fresh tears spilling. Liv, shh. Olivia pulled back, smiling. Today is going to be perfect. And it would be. Just not the way anyone expected. As the music began and Olivia prepared to walk down the aisle, she slipped her phone out of her clutch. One final message to send, one final move before the game truly began. She hit send, and then she stepped into the cathedral, ready to destroy the 2 people she'd loved most. What did Olivia send, and what revenge is she planning? Find out in part 2. Heartbreak and revenge. The walk down the aisle. The cathedral doors opened. The orchestra swelled. 300 faces turned toward Olivia Hart as she began her walk down the aisle, alone, because her father had passed 3 years ago, and she'd insisted she didn't need anyone to give her away. She'd never been more grateful for that decision than she was right now. Ethan stood at the altar, devastatingly handsome in his Tom Ford tuxedo, his eyes locked on hers, and she saw it, the guilt, the fear, the desperate hope that maybe she hadn't actually seen what she'd seen, that maybe he could still salvage this. He had no idea what was coming. Olivia's heels clicked against the marble floor with the precision of a countdown. Each step brought her closer to the altar, closer to him, closer to the moment she'd been meticulously planning for the last 2.5 hours. Rachel stood among the bridesmaids in her lavender dress, her face pale, her hands trembling around her bouquet. She couldn't meet Olivia's eyes. Good. The ceremony begins. Olivia reached the altar. Ethan took her hands, and she felt nothing. The hands that used to make her heart race now felt like touching a stranger who destroyed her. The priest began. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today. Olivia barely heard the words. Her mind was 3 steps ahead, calculating. She'd always been good at strategy. It's what made her a VP at 28. She knew how to read people, how to anticipate moves, how to win. And she was about to win the most important game of her life. If anyone has any reason why these two should not be wed, speak now or forever hold your peace. The traditional pause. No one ever actually spoke during this part, except today. I do, Olivia said clearly. The church went silent. Confused murmurs rippled through the crowd. Ethan's eyes widened. Live. What? She turned to face the guests, pulling her hands free from his. I have a reason why this wedding shouldn't happen. Olivia, Ethan hissed, trying to grab her arm. What are you doing? She stepped away from him, addressing the crowd with the same confident voice she used in boardrooms. This morning I went to my fiancé's apartment to pick up my grandmother's earrings, and I found him in bed with my sister. Gasps erupted. Heads whipped toward Rachel, who had gone ghostwise. Someone's phone clattered to the floor. Olivia, stop, Ethan's voice cracked. But she wasn't done. The evidence. I know what you're all thinking, Olivia continued, her voice steady even as her heart hammered. Maybe I'm confused. Maybe I'm having cold feet. Maybe I'm lying. She pulled her phone from where she'd tucked it into her bouquet. But I'm not. She pressed play. The church's sound system, which she'd paid extra to have integrated with her phone for the reception playlist, crackled to life. And then, crystal clear, her voice filled the cathedral. How long? 6 months. The audio was damning. Every word, every confession played out for 300 witnesses. Ethan's voice admitting his love for Rachel. Rachel sobbing her apologies. The raw, unfiltered truth of their betrayal. Olivia had recorded everything on her phone before she left Ethan's apartment. She'd known she'd need proof. She'd known no one would believe her without it. The fallout. The audio ended. Silence crashed down like a physical weight. Then chaos. Ethan's mother stood up, her face purple with rage. Ethan Michael Cross, you did what? Olivia's mother was crying, reaching for her from the front pew. Friends were shouting questions. Some were already pulling out their phones, probably texting, probably posting. Rachel tried to run. She made it 3 steps before Olivia's cousin, a former college basketball star, blocked her path. You're not going anywhere, her cousin snarled. Ethan was frozen at the altar, his face ashen. Olivia, I can explain. Explain to them, Olivia said coldly, gesturing to the crowd. Explain to your mother why you threw away a 4-year relationship for my sister. Explain to my family why you violated their trust. Explain to everyone here why they wasted their time coming to a wedding for a man who doesn't understand what loyalty means. She pulled off her engagement ring, 3 carats, princess cut, set in platinum, and threw it at his feet. We're done. The twist. But before I go, Olivia said, her voice dropping to something dangerous, there's one more thing everyone should know. Ethan's eyes widened with genuine fear. Live. Don't. Your company. Cross Enterprises? Ethan went pale. What about it? The reason it's been so successful lately? The reason you landed that major international deal last month? Olivia smiled, but it was sharp as broken glass. That was me. The confusion was palpable. I'm VP of Marketing at Sterling & Associates. Olivia continued. We've been handling Cross Enterprises' entire marketing strategy. Their brand positioning, their pitch decks, all of it, under my direction. She watched realization dawn on Ethan's face with satisfaction. And this morning, after I found you in bed with my sister, I made a call to my CEO. I explained the situation. I explained that I could no longer, in good conscience, work on a project that would benefit someone who treated me this way. Olivia, you didn't. Sterling & Associates dropped Cross Enterprises as a client effective immediately. That international deal you were so proud of, the one that was supposed to close next week, the one that required our marketing materials, our strategy, our contacts. She paused for effect. It's dead. And good luck explaining to your investors why you just lost the biggest opportunity your company has ever had. Ethan staggered backward like she'd physically struck him. The mother's betrayal. But Olivia wasn't finished. And Mom, she said, turning to her mother, who was still crying in the front pew. I know you knew. Her mother's tears stopped. Just for a second, guilt flashed across her face. What? Olivia's aunt stood up. Catherine, what is she talking about? Olivia's laugh was bitter. Rachel told me this morning that it had been 6 months. 6 months ago, I was visiting Mom. Rachel came by, and she and Ethan left together. Mom saw them kissing in the driveway. Catherine Hart stood up, her hands shaking. Olivia, I didn't know what to do. I thought it would blow over. You thought you'd let me marry him anyway? Olivia's voice cracked for the first time. You knew he was cheating on me with your other daughter, and you said nothing? I didn't want to hurt you. You let M.E. plan a wedding to a man who was sleeping with my sister. Olivia screamed, all her composure finally shattering. You let me spend a year, building a life with someone you knew was lying to me. What kind of mother does that? Catherine was sobbing now, reaching for her. I'm sorry, baby, I'm so sorry, don't touch me. Olivia backed away. Don't any of you touch me. The exit. She grabbed her dress, hiking up the layers of tulle and silk, and walked toward the doors. No one tried to stop. They were all too shocked, too overwhelmed by the nuclear bomb she'd just detonated in the middle of what was supposed to be a celebration. As she reached the doors, she turned back one last time. Oh, and Ethan? The locks to my penthouse have been changed. Your things are in storage. The bill is yours to pay. She looked at Rachel. And you? You've always wanted what I had. Well, congratulations. You can have them. But here's the thing about leftovers. Her smile was poison. They're never as good as the original. Then she walked out of the cathedral into the bright afternoon sun, leaving behind the ruins of her old life. 3 months later, Olivia sat in her new office, bigger than her old one, with an even better view, and smiled at the contract on her desk. Cross Enterprises had filed for bankruptcy last week. Without Sterling & Associates' support, the international deal had collapsed. Investors had pulled out. Ethan's company, his pride and joy, was dead. Good. But that wasn't the only contract she was looking at. The other one was more interesting. It was from Ethan's biggest competitor. They wanted to hire Sterling & Associates. They wanted Olivia specifically. And they wanted her because they'd heard what she did to Cross Enterprises. They wanted to make sure they stayed on her good side. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Please, I'm begging you. I've lost everything. The company, My reputation, my family won't speak to me. I know I deserve this. But please, can we talk? Olivia deleted it without responding. But then another text came through. This one made her freeze. Hi, Olivia. This is James Ashford from Ashford Industries. We met briefly at a conference last year. I heard about what happened with Cross Enterprises. Brilliant strategy, by the way. I have a proposition for you. One that might interest you. It involves taking down someone who wronged me the same way Ethan wronged you. Interested? Olivia stared at the message. James Ashford was a billionaire, one of the most powerful men in the country, and he wanted her help destroying someone. She typed back 3 words, I'm listening. The cliffhanger. What Olivia didn't know was that James Ashford wasn't just any billionaire. He was Ethan's uncle, and the person he wanted destroyed? Rachel. What is James Ashford's real plan? And what happens when Olivia realizes revenge might not be enough? Find out in part 3, the restaurant was the kind of place where you needed a reservation 3 months in advance and a net worth in the 8 figures just to be taken seriously. Olivia walked in wearing a black Armani pantsuit that cost more than her first car, her heels clicking against marble floors with the confidence of a woman who'd learned that power was the best accessory. James Ashford was waiting in a private room. He was in his mid-40s, silver-haired, impeccably dressed, with the kind of cold, calculating eyes that had built an empire from nothing. Miss Hart, he greeted, standing to shake her hand. His grip was firm, testing. Thank you for meeting me. Mr. Ashford. She sat across from him, studying his face. I'll admit, your text intrigued me. But I'm curious, why would you want to destroy your own nephew? James smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Ethan is an embarrassment. He always has been. I gave him seed money to start Cross Enterprises as a favor to my sister, and what did he do? Ran it into the ground through sheer incompetence and moral bankruptcy. He poured them both wine, a bottle that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. But Rachel, he continued, is a different story. Olivia's interest sharpened. Go on. The truth about Rachel. Your sister, James said, swirling his wine, has been running a con for years. Olivia blinked. What? Rachel isn't just a betrayer, Miss Hart. She's a professional. Ethan isn't her first mark. He's her 5th. Olivia's blood ran cold. What are you talking about? James pulled out a tablet and slid it across the table. On the screen was a series of documents, legal records, photographs, bank statements. Rachel Price, or Rachel Hart, as she's calling herself with your family, has been systematically targeting wealthy men, seducing them, getting pregnant, and then settling for enormous child support payments after the inevitable breakup. Olivia scrolled through the files, her stomach churning. This man, James pointed to a photo, was a hedge fund manager in California. She took him for $850,000. This one was a real estate developer in Texas. $1.2 million. This one was a tech entrepreneur. $2.3 million, my God, Olivia whispered. She changes her name slightly each time, uses different family histories, and she's very, very good at becoming whatever the man wants her to be. James leaned back. When she found out Ethan was my nephew, that he had potential access to real money, she saw an opportunity. But Ethan's company failed, Olivia said. He has nothing now. Exactly, James smiled. Which is where you come in, the plan. Rachel doesn't know Ethan's broke, James explained. She's been careful to stay away from him publicly, maintaining the illusion that she's the innocent party who just fell in love with the wrong man. She's waiting for him to recover financially before she makes her move. Her move? Pregnancy announcement, marriage, divorce, settlement. It's her playbook. Olivia felt sick. Everything about her sister had been a lie. The sister she'd grown up with, shared secrets with, trusted, none of it was real. "What do you want from me?" she asked quietly. "I want you to help me expose her," James said. "Publicly. Completely. And I want to make sure she can never do this again." "Why me?" "Because you're the only person who can get close to her without raising suspicion. She thinks she won. She thinks she destroyed you and got away with it." His eyes gleamed. "Let's prove her wrong." The infiltration. 2 weeks later, Olivia was sitting in a coffee shop when Rachel walked in. It was the first time they'd seen each other since the wedding. Rachel looked good. Designer clothes, fresh highlights, expensive bag. She'd clearly been living well off whatever money she'd extracted from her previous marks. She saw Olivia and froze. "Liv." She breathed. Olivia looked up from her laptop, her expression carefully neutral. "Rachel, I didn't expect to see you. It's a small world." Rachel hesitated, then slid into the seat across from her. "Look, I know you hate me. I know what I did was unforgivable. But I want you to know, I'm pregnant." Olivia's heart skipped. Right on schedule. "It's Ethan's," Rachel continued, tears well, "and I don't know what to do. He won't return my calls. His family has disowned him. I'm alone, and I'm scared," and she grabbed Olivia's hand. "I know I have no right to ask, but you're my sister. You're the only family I have left." Olivia looked at Rachel's hand on hers. The same hand that had touched Ethan while Olivia was planning their wedding. The same hand that had taken money from 4 other men before him. And she smiled. "Oh, Rachel," she said softly. "Of course I'll help you." The trap springs. Over the next 3 weeks, Olivia played the role of supportive sister perfectly. She helped Rachel find a lawyer. She went to doctor's appointments. She even loaned Rachel money James Ashford had given her specifically for this purpose. And all the while, she documented everything. The recordings were damning. Rachel, drunk on wine one night, Olivia had made sure it was non-alcoholic. There was no pregnancy. Admitted everything. She laughed about how easy Ethan had been, how stupid he was to think she actually loved him. "God, Liv," Rachel had slurred, "you don't understand how exhausting it is to pretend to care about these men. But the money makes it worth it. Always does." "How much are you expecting from Ethan?" Olivia had asked carefully. "Well, once his uncle bails him out, and he will, family always does, I'm thinking at least $5 million for the kid. Maybe more if I play my cards right." Olivia had smiled and poured her more fake wine. The reveal. The press conference was held on a Tuesday morning. Every major news outlet was there. James Ashford had made sure of it. Olivia stood at the podium, looking out at the sea of cameras and reporters. James stood beside her, along with lawyers from 4 different states. "Thank you all for coming," Olivia began. 3 months ago, my wedding was destroyed by betrayal. What I didn't know then was that the betrayal went much deeper than I could have imagined. She nodded to the tech team. The screens behind her lit up with Rachel's photos. All 5 different names, all 5 different men, all 5 devastating settlements. "The woman you see here has been running a sophisticated con for 8 years. She targets wealthy men, seduces them, fabricates pregnancies, and extorts enormous sums of money. She's stolen over $7 million from her victims. The room erupted in questions, cameras flashing. One of those victims, Olivia continued, her voice steady, was my ex-fiancé, Ethan Cross. Another was going to be James Ashford, through his nephew. But today, we're putting an end to it. She played the audio recordings. Rachel's voice filled the room, laughing about her cons, detailing her methods, bragging about how easy it was to manipulate men. The worst part, Olivia said, her voice finally cracking with genuine emotion, is that this woman is my sister, and I trusted her. The arrest. 20 minutes later, Rachel was arrested at her apartment. The charges were extensive: fraud, extortion, identity theft, perjury. The bail was set at $2 million. She couldn't pay it. Olivia watched the arrest on the news from James Ashford's office. She should have felt victorious. She should have felt satisfied. Instead, she felt empty. "Congratulations," James said, handing her a glass of champagne. "You just saved dozens of men from being her next victims." "She was my sister," Olivia whispered. "She was a predator wearing your sister's face," James corrected gently. "The real Rachel, the girl you grew up with. She died a long time ago. You just didn't know it." 6 months later, the resolution. Rachel was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Ethan, implicated in some of the schemes, though he'd been more victim than accomplice, served 2 years and was released on probation. Olivia's mother tried to reach out, but Olivia never returned the calls. Some betrayals were too deep to forgive. But life moved on. Olivia was promoted to executive VP. She bought a new penthouse, bigger, better, with no memories attached. She started dating again, carefully, cautiously, but genuinely. And one day, sitting in her office with that same stunning view, she got a call from a number she didn't recognize. "Olivia Hart?" A woman's voice said, speaking. "My name is Sarah Mitchell. I was one of Rachel's victims. Or my husband was, I should say. What you did, exposing her, you saved my marriage. You saved my family. I just wanted to say thank you." Olivia felt something crack open in her chest, something that had been frozen since that morning she walked into Ethan's apartment. "You're welcome," she said softly. After she hung up, Olivia looked out at the city. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson. She'd lost a fiancé, a sister, and a mother. But she'd found something better. Herself. And that was worth more than any revenge could ever be. Late that night, Olivia's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You think this is over? You destroyed my life. Everything I built. Everything I worked for. You should have stayed ignorant. You should have just hurt quietly. This isn't over, Olivia. Not by a long shot. Sleep well." Our Olivia stared at the message. Rachel was in prison. There was no way she could send this, unless someone was helping her. Unless this was just the beginning. Olivia's hands trembled as she called James Ashford. "We have a problem," she said when he answered. "What kind of problem?" "Rachel. She's not done." Silence on the other end. "Then I'll be right there." As Olivia waited, she looked out at the city again. The lights glittered like stars, beautiful and cold. She'd thought revenge would be the end. She was wrong. It was only the beginning.